3, 2, 1. Elizabeth Loftus, an American cognitive psychologist and an expert on human memory, has conducted and compiled extensive research questioning the malleability of memory. Her 1974 book, Eyewitness Testimony, examined the value of eyewitness testimonies in the legal judicial system and set out the psychological case to disprove their reliability.
We tend to believe that the way in which a person remembers an event must be the way it actually happened. In other words, memory is typically thought of as the replaying of an event, exactly as we saw it, like playing a video or a DVD. However, psychologists who study memory have drawn that notion into question. These studies focus on the power of questions containing presumptions that can alter a person's memory of an event. Loftus defines a presumption as a condition that must be true for the question to make sense. For example, you have witnessed an automobile accident, and I ask you how many people were in the car that was speeding. The question presumes that the car was already speeding. But what if the car was actually speeding or not speeding? You might answer the question anyway because it was not a question about the speed of the car, it was about its passengers. Loftus proposed, however, that because of the way the question was worded, you might add the speeding information to your memory of the event just based on remembering it being mentioned vaguely before.
Can alter a person's memory of an event. It defines a presumption that a condition must be true for the question to make sense. For example, you have witnessed an automobile accident, and I asked, how many people were in the car that was speeding? The question proposes that the car was speeding. But what if the car was not actually speeding? You might answer the question anyway, because it was not a question about the speed of the car, it was about the passengers. Loftus proposed, however, that because of the way the question was worded, you might add the speeding information to your memory of the event. Consequently, if you are asked other questions later, you will be more likely to say the car was speeding. So, the hypothesis would be, if eyewitnesses are asked questions that contain a false presumption about the witness event, the new false information may be incorporated into the witness's memory of the event and appear subsequently in the new testimony by the witness.
The method of execution in this study was to show 3 different groups of people: a control group, a false perception group, and a directly questioned group. All 3 groups were asked to watch a 1 to 3 minute long video, and there was 4 total sets in total. The first group of 3 was asked to watch a video involving a 5-car chain reaction accident and were asked questions directly after the film, such as how fast the car was going, when it ran the stop sign, how fast it was going when it ran the stop sign, and whether or not the car turned right or went straight. The second video group was asked the gender of the leader of the 4 to 8 anti-war demonstrator group to see if they could alter the memory to the number of demonstrators that were actually in the video while focusing on the gender of the leader. The questions that were asked a week after the video was viewed in the group as opposed to right after the film as the first set was. The third set of video groups was to watch a video involving a white sports car in an accident. Half the people watched the video were asked if whether or not the car passed a barn, as the other half was asked how fast the car was going when it went down the country road. These questions were asked a week later, and the group was asked one question involving a barn, as where the other group was asked several questions involving whether or not there was a barn. 17.3% of the barn group said that there was indeed a barn, and the other that was only asked one question involving the barn, only 2.7% said that there was a barn. The fourth group, which is the last group, watched a video involving someone recording inside the video outwards of the vehicle that was moving. At the end of the video, they recorded a man pushing a baby carriage down the road. They were handed a booklet shortly after the video and asked questions such as, did they see a bus? Did you see a truck at the beginning? And did you see a center line in a country road? And did you see a woman pushing a carriage? All these questions that were asked was objects that were not actually in the video and were purposely misleading, and all questions were asked when all the subjects of the questions were not in any of the videos that were viewed in all 4 subjects. The purpose of this experiment was seeing if they could alter the mindset and the memories of the people in question with simply altering words such as a gender with a man or a woman, or just adding in certain objects that could be there that actually were not. And they potentially alter one's entire memory of the subject with simple words such as gender, subjects, and things as such.
Based on these and other studies, Loftus argued that accuracy theory of memory and thought must include a process of reconstruction when new information is mixed into the original memory of an event. The finding of these studies cannot be explained by assuming that the thought of simply involves a mental replaying of an event. When an extra step of mixing new information is added to a memory, this information causes your image of memory to be altered or changed. Later, if you ask a question about the event, your thought will not be the original event, but rather your form of it.
To illustrate, the figure compares the traditional view of recall with the reformulated process proposed by Loftus. As you can see, the extra step of integrated new information into memory has been added. This information, in turn, causes your representation of the original memory to be altered or reconstructed. Later, if you are asked a question about the event, your recall will not be of the actual original event, but rather your reconstruction of it. It connected that this reconstruction process was the reason that barns, school buses, trucks, women pushing baby carriages, and other center lines in the roads were all conjured up in the participants' memories when they were not part of the original experience. The false presumption in the questions provided the new information that was unintentionally integrated into the participants' memories of the event.
Let's go back to the beginning of the video, right after the countdown. Two men, walking across the room, tried to pass something to one another. Was it a phone? A calculator? A small notebook? What color boots are they wearing? Fact is, there were two guys, and they dropped a calculator, but they were not wearing boots. Eyewitness testimonies cannot be so reliable because the way our brains work. You might come up with a color or an idea of them wearing boots simply because you associate it with the rainy weather and presume, well, they could be wearing boots. This just goes to show how easily our minds can be tricked into thinking certain false facts may appear to be true, but they are just external influences.